Welcome to the Get Found Radio podcast. This is the show for entrepreneurs that are ready to get found and land clients so you can live your purpose. Here's your host, Jared Warner.
All right, Amy, welcome to Get Found Radio.
Thank you, Jared. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so happy to have you on. So I don't really have a set way that I go about this show. I just kind of like to hit record and have a conversation. But if you would, kind of set the table for us and tell us a little bit about yourself and your business. So primarily focusing on who you help and how you help them.
Certainly. So my name is Amy C Waninger. I am the founder and CEO of Lead at Any Level, LLC, and leadatanylevel.com. The people that I help are people who are early to mid-career, entry level up to mid-management, and I help them with strategies to navigate their career. In that vein, I have 3 areas of focus. I focus on diversity and inclusion, leadership skills, and managing change in one's career. So those are some issues that I think if people can do well early in their careers, they can really soar. And not a lot of people do those things well early in their careers.
Okay, let's talk about if your ideal client, what is the biggest problem that they have that you solve?
I think a lot of people have a discomfort navigating the corporate landscape. So changes may come to them in their jobs that they don't understand. They may not know how to connect with people outside of their work group in a large organization, or if they're in a small organization, they may not know how to connect with people beyond their work group. They may not know what leadership skills or transferable skills they have that make them marketable outside of their current role. So I help with career navigation. Okay,
so the best thing to do in order for you to land clients is to speak in their language and meet them where they are in order to take them to where they need to be. So in terms of their language, they might be struggling to get promoted, struggling to find traction. They may have started their job, and when they're in the interview process, they're talking about all the great advancement opportunities, and you're going to start here, but you could get here, and this is kind of what your next several years could look like, and they're excited. And then sometimes for your ideal target, those things aren't happening for them, would be my guess, right? So they went into it full of excitement and passion and here we go, and then nothing. So I think in terms of your language, you got to meet them there.
Okay.
How does that feel?
It feels good. So let me give you an example of how I think I've done that.
Okay.
And maybe you can help me, kind of set the stage for the book that I have coming out. So the book that I'm releasing in just a couple weeks, it's available now on Amazon, and it'll be released on June 4th. I'm not sure when this episode airs, but the title of the book is called Network Beyond Bias: How to Make Diversity a Competitive Advantage for Your Career.
Okay.
And so I'm hoping that I'm tapping into, the fear of networking, maybe the fear of people who are, interacting with people who are different. And then there's a lot of talk in business right now about diversity and inclusion, but a lot of people don't know where they fit in. So I wanted to make it very clear that this is a book for your career, not for the company.
Okay. And so one thing with when you sell a book, the biggest thing is you're not going to make a ton of money from the book itself. The book is a tool to, fuel your business growth. So it puts your message out there. It's a low ticket offer to give value and then bring them into whatever else you're selling. So do you have something in the book that pulls them out of the book and has them connect to you other than, Googling your name or at the back of the book where it has your website? Do you have things in the book that gives them a reason to get into your email list, follow you socially, join a Facebook group, things like that?
Absolutely. So the book, because it's about networking, I try to be really intentional about including those things, those aspects in. So one of the things that I do throughout the book is I have call outs, little one-liners from the book or that summarize the chapter that are tweetables with my hashtag. I have some website references back to leadatanylevel.com where they can download resources or, book lists for further reading, interactive, well, not interactive, but worksheets drawn from the book that are free downloads, to kind of accompany the material in the book.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so and I would suggest putting those in. I used to say the first 15 pages, but honestly, the first 5 pages, you want to have them, opted into your email list, in your Facebook group, any of that sort of stuff. So, where, in terms of placement, where do you have that?
Let's see. I have about this book, page 10. I have a blurb that says a call out, boxed call out that says there's more to discover online. Visit the website for links to cited works and additional resources organized by chapter.
Okay, that's pretty good. So the next thing would be like kind of continuing that conversation. So are you familiar with running paid ads, or have you done any of that stuff?
I have not yet, no.
Okay. So I don't want to get too complex, but basically, like, if you send them out of the book and to a specific page, you pretty much know who that person is or where they're at in their journey.
Okay.
So, like, let's say they went to that page 10 and they read it, and then they end up on that page. You kind of know where they're at, right? They read 10 pages of your book. Now they landed on that page.
Okay.
Okay. So if you set up a custom audience for that page inside of Facebook, for example, which has the most engagement, the highest level of engagement, you can then continue the conversation on as if you were having a digital conversation. And I don't know when this episode is going to air either, but I believe that's going to be the topic of my next workshop, is creating digital conversations, where I'll go much deeper to that. For the people listening to this episode and yourself, Amy, I'm going to go significantly deeper into that, so I won't get off track with the technical aspects, because I will link it in the show notes, and we're going to dive really deep on how to create digital conversations. But I want to kind of have your mind wrapped around that, because you can really create some serious power with a book if you create these things and anticipate as if that person was right in front of you, and you knew they read, the first 10 pages. Now they're on this page, and now they, opt into whatever you're asking them to opt into. You really know who that person is. So think about it in terms of, if they were right in front of you and you knew all of that, what would be the next several things you would say to them?
Mm-hmm.
And those are the ads, the type of ads that you run that brings them further along to turning them into clients.
Okay. So let me make sure I understand
Yeah.
what you're proposing. So I would have, if I have, let's say, 10 of these call outs in my book, I would set up 10 different Facebook groups.
Not groups, but audiences.
Okay. And I guess I don't understand that terminology. This is new to me.
Yeah, and again, I won't go too far off on the technical aspect. I am going to have the workshop, and we're going to go super deep in it. The workshop's going to be, maybe 20 minutes of content, 30 minutes of content, and then like an hour and a half of implementation, and I'll be there for Q&A just to make sure everybody gets it. So Excellent. It's not, I just spit a bunch of stuff at you and you go, okay, yeah, that's over my head. And then you move on to the next thing and hope you pick it up.
Gotcha.
I'm not really about that. So it's going to be very hands-on. So,
okay. So my action item is go sign up for that program.
Sign up for that workshop. And then, it won't be too late once you have it, because you are creating these things too. So I don't know when this comes out, and I don't have the date for the workshop exactly, but it is going to be third or fourth week of next month. So as we record this, it's in May. So it's going to be in June, third or fourth week of June. So you'll have time to set it up. It'll be post-launch, but you'll have time to set up all this stuff. So
okay, perfect.
And for the people listening, that link is in the show notes. So jump on it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so let's talk about the solution that you offer them. So we know you got the book. You're going to be using that as a promotional vehicle, and we will touch on how to promote it. But the best way to promote it is to understand what is your programs or services that you offer on the back end of that.
Sure.
So let's talk about that.
Okay. Right now, my programs are mostly speaking engagements, so keynotes, workshops, training sessions at the corporate or association level, so conferences or corporate events. I also offer one-on-one coaching for individuals. So I have I guess kind of a bifurcated audience, if you will. I want to get this in the hands of corporate diversity and inclusion and HR folks so that they can see the value of this within their own organizations, but then also to individuals who may be struggling.
Okay, so you could have on a one-to-one basis an HR director or a hopeful, ladder climbing corporate employee.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Okay. And how does that program work? Do you have that up and running now, or is it something that you're kind of launching in tandem with the book?
Launching in tandem with the book. I have speaking engagements lined up this year already. I've done a handful so far this year in anticipation of the book. I have about 30 total scheduled for the year. At various conference events. I'm doing some custom webinars for some different groups. Groups of college students, groups of mentor networks, some professional associations. So I'm getting my message out there that way.
Okay.
And I would like to convert those, the webinars in particular, I would like to convert into paid speaking engagements or paid training engagements at companies.
Okay. So I think probably the biggest, growth tool would be, or the biggest revenue generating tool is going to definitely be around the coaching.
Okay.
And the speaking should facilitate, the coaching.
Okay.
So like when I do speaking or live trainings or anything, and you'll see it on that thing, I don't sell anybody anything, but one thing like the workshop I mentioned on this show, I'm going to talk about, creating digital conversations, and I'm going to tie that back to my system. And then so I won't be pitching anybody. There's no pitch, but I will be saying where that little piece falls into my whole system, and then offering, people, if they're interested, to just book a call and we can talk about how that relates to their business. And again, no sales pitch on the call, but when you do it that way, people understand that you delivered value on that one piece, but they also know that there's all that other stuff that you didn't cover. So if they think they got value with the one piece, what would that look like working with you for the whole thing?
Okay.
So that's worked really well for me because I don't really like hardcore selling and all this, all these closing and overcoming objections and all that. I don't care for any of that. I've done sales, majority of my life, but I've never been a salesperson doing it. And I think that approach can work really well for coaching and for training, is to make sure that they get that value, but also make sure that they know that there's all this other stuff that you didn't talk about.
Okay. That sounds good. And so and if this is outside the bounds of this call, just tell me, but for a coaching program, I've been focusing one-on-one. I know group coaching is much more scalable, and I'd like to get to that point. I've not built out all of those assets yet.
Yeah.
How many modules is typical for a 6-month program, a 1-year program? What's the right yardstick for that?
I don't like to even look at it that way.
Okay.
I like to look at it in terms of your ideal client has a series of problems. You have the answers to those problems, which is in your program.
Okay.
And then you deliver them however that needs to be. So, and it's the same with webinars. For some reason, with courses and with webinars, we've kind of all fallen into this trap of having to have a formula for it. And, for some reason, all webinars need to be between 45 minutes and 90 minutes. And they need to, give some value, but you really don't give total value. You just hint at how brilliant you are. And then the back half of it, you spend selling. And, you talk about all the bonuses that you're going to get, and it's this much value. And, it's 100.
I just bought my mom a house with cash.
And you're going to get $100,000 in value, but you won't pay that much. Come on. Like, why are we doing this? And, with online courses, it's been forever, like 7 to 10 modules, and each module is 45 minutes to 60 minutes. And why? People have problems. They want answers to the problems. So just think about how quickly you could deliver that. And if you can deliver that value that fixes their problem in a headline, in a quote, in a 30-second video, in a 1-hour call, in a 4-week program, whatever it looks like, just fix their problems, and you'll find a lot of success in your business doing it that way.
I love that. Thank you, Jared.
Yeah. So, and you're going to come across a lot of systems, and it's like, here's the system, and you have to just ignore all that.
Okay.
Just think, put your customers' needs first and say, my ideal customer has all of these problems. My program solves all of these problems. What's the most cost-effective way that I could do it that doesn't waste their time, that, doesn't waste your time either? What's a win-win? What does that look like? But lean heavy on their side, really heavy on their side. Like, if I was to give them the craziest amount of value possible, what does that look like? And so when I create stuff, that's what I do, is like, forget about me and my time and convenience. That doesn't exist. Let's look at painting the absolute best picture you can for your ideal client. If I was to deliver something that is just absurd in value, what does that look like? And then figure out how to price it, how to deliver it, and how to execute.
Okay.
So definitely start there.
All right. And I love that. That feels so much more authentic and in line with my values than a lot of what I'm seeing out there in the world. Yeah.
And, I've been kind of on a rant about this lately, with the reason that all that stuff is created, not to get too far off track. We're probably way far off track, but
that's okay.
Not to get too far off track, but it's this one size fits all mentality, and it's in the need to scale. And in order for these people to scale, they have to systematize it, and they have to say, you need to conform to this. And if I make you conform to this, then it's a one size fits all, so they can pump, thousands of people through it at a cost of $9.97 a month, or $9.97 one time, or like whatever it is. And it's really easy on them because they don't have to adjust. Custom is not as profitable. And so it's not scalable, that's for sure. It could be profitable, but it's definitely not scalable. And so they don't do custom, like nobody does.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, and and I've even heard people say, if you do everything I tell you, you'll be successful. And it's almost like the responsibility is on you to implement it correctly. Mm-hmm. You as my customer, if you fail, it's because you didn't do it right.
Right.
And that seems so one-sided and so, I don't know. It seems very wrong to me. It seems very snake oil and ugly. And I just, I really want to help people. Now, I certainly want to make money also, because that allows me to help more people, but I want to help people.
Yeah. And honestly, like, you have to make money in order to help people. Right. If you don't, then you go get a job, and then your message just dies.
Right.
It's like dead in your cubicle. So, you kind of are obligated to profit from it. You just have to find where that balance lies, but lean very heavy on just creating as much value as possible, and, price it accordingly.
Okay.
Let's talk about the book promotion. What have you done in terms of promoting the book? So I know it is currently for sale on pre-order. did you do, things like have your audience help pick the title, help pick the cover, that sort of stuff?
I did. Thank you for asking. Yeah, I put together a survey on Google Forms and used Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Those are the primary social media channels that I use, and my email list to drive people out there to vote for the cover or the cover concept. I didn't have finalized covers, but I had sort of 3 ideas. And then I took all of the feedback that I got and sifted through it, and there's some really great stuff in there. And 10 of the people who responded to the book or responded to the cover survey won a copy of the book, so they'll get that. And that was a good way for me to build my mail list and generate a little bit of buzz around the book. I also asked questions in that about, how likely would you be to buy this book on a scale of 0 to 5? How many books do you buy a year? What do you spend on those books each? So I had a little bit of my pricing strategy built into that survey. And so that was really helpful. I heard you talk about Rafflecopter on a previous episode. So I went out to Rafflecopter and tried that out. And I had this really ugly, kludgy, clunky kind of contest that went out. But I'll get better. The first time is beta, right?
Yep.
So I'll get better at that. But I have done one of those. I'm promoting on social media extensively. I solicited when I had my first draft, I started soliciting endorsements from people who are leaders in the diversity and inclusion space, in networking, and just kind of in a variety of fields where my work is applicable. One, because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't speaking to too limited of an audience with the book. I want the book to be useful to a lot of people. But also I wanted other people to be able to see themselves in the book. And so I've got some endorsements that I'm able to then push out to social media to self-promote. I have some of those folks who are promoting for me, which is great. I just got today the foreword for my book from a leader in the diversity and inclusion space.
Awesome.
So I'm using, I'm name dropping like crazy around that one because Jennifer Brown, see there, I did it. Jennifer Brown is the person in diversity and inclusion right now in the US. She's amazing. And, here she's endorsed little old me in my book and by writing the foreword, which is just incredible. So,
awesome.
I feel like I'm doing a lot right. The book is, it's available. You can get signed copies on my website, of course, and then it's available on Amazon for pre-order in paperback and Kindle. It will be available in all the things Amazon does with Kindle. So it's part of the, read me, Prime members get so many books that they can borrow at a time or something. Yep. It's part of all of those programs. It's on Matchbook. So if you
want
buy
it to be because Amazon will promote you harder. They'll make you more relevant in searches and stuff if you participate in all their stuff. So
yes,
that's a smart move.
Thank you. And so if you buy the paperback, you get the Kindle version for a discount or whatever. So that's all there. And then, I've been working for a while on my website for, search engine optimization. I've been dripping the content over about the last year almost. So all of the blog posts that are related to the book link back to the book. And I've also started doing guest blog spots on other people's sites. So, some of the industry leaders or people that I know that have those kinds of platforms that might drive traffic or interest in the book, I'm doing guest blog spots there. This podcast is actually the first of 5 that I'm doing in the next 3 or 4 weeks to help get word out about the book. So
very cool.
Yeah. So I feel like I'm doing a lot right, but I feel like there's so much that maybe I'm not doing the right things right. Does that make sense?
Definitely. So here's a couple ideas for you. Do you ever do Facebook Lives?
I haven't yet.
Or does it scare you to death, or are you like, I might do that?
It's like, yeah, I might do that.
Okay. It doesn't scare you to death. That's good.
But no, it doesn't scare me to death. I mean, I'm fine talking in front of people. And
perfect. So one thing that I did to promote my book was I would have the title of the Facebook Live be a chapter in the book.
Okay.
And then I did a Facebook Live just talking about the inspiration behind that chapter and like why I wrote it and what you're going to get out of it and that kind of stuff. And that was really good, spotlight on the book. Same thing for writing posts. So you don't have to like copy and paste, although for some things you might want to copy and paste some excerpts from the book. That's also good, but you can do the same thing. Like on posts, a lot of times I make a title. Like they don't provide that on Facebook or LinkedIn, but you can make it one. Just put it, bold with emojis or something at the top, and now it's a title. And then just talk about it, and then just say, this is the title of my book, and then or this is the chapter title in my book, and then just talk about the inspiration and what the reader can get out of it, and who the book's for and that kind of thing. And you can do all kinds of stuff. And then you can put don't put links in your post, and this goes for pretty much all social media because they all copy Facebook. Facebook limits the reach if you put the post in the comments. I'm sorry, if you put the post or the link in the post, you have to put it in the comments, because they don't want you sending people away from Facebook. So they aren't going to show your post to very many people if you put the link there.
Interesting. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So you want to put it in the comments and then just mention in the post that the link is in the comments.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you.
And then if it's on Facebook Live, you can pin that link to the top.
Okay.
So you'll see it when you're on there. You can just like hover over it and then just say pin comment, and then that link will stay at the top.
Okay, excellent.
And I recommend using a short link if you have one that links to purchase the book. Mm-hmm. Do you have that, or do you have to go hunting for the Amazon link?
No, I use Bitly, but I don't have a custom Bitly.
Yeah. For mine, I just made it book.123getfound.com. So I just created a subdomain. I'm switching my website over, so I can't currently do /book, although that looks better. But before it transitions over, I can do the book . So that works for me. And I use those, by the way, for all kinds of things, because
and I've tried to set that up. I need to figure that out.
Yeah. So,
because I would love to have it NBB, for Network Beyond Bias, nbb.lead@anylevel.com, then I can take people to a landing page specifically for the book.
Right. So that's definitely what you want to set up. So you can have, a low-level VA probably even do that. But depending on, like, if your website's purchased with GoDaddy, it's super simple. They'll just walk you through it. Just say you want to create a subdomain with a 301 redirect, and then just have the URL where you want to send them to. It's so simple to set up. I can hold my breath and set them up in like 10 seconds.
Okay. So you said it's called, I would say create a subdomain with a 301 redirect.
Yep.
All right. Because I can Google that.
Yeah, it's super easy. And, if your website's with GoDaddy or some of the more reputable ones, then they answer the phone when you call, and they'll just walk you right through it, and you're done.
Okay.
So definitely set those up. And I set them up for custom calendars, for like everything. So
perfect.
To find my podcast, for, everything.
Okay.
Otherwise you're hunting for links all the time. So.
Okay. No, that's perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. And so definitely do that with the Facebook Live. And then also, excerpts from the book, just sometimes copy and paste, maybe a paragraph or like a part of it, and then just talk about the inspiration behind writing it. And, anything that is like that. You want to have people know that you're writing a book. When people see that you have written a book, it automatically increases your credibility and your authority, and you become somebody that they should look at. So which is probably why you wrote a book, right?
That's certainly a part of it. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any other questions or anything that you want to make sure that we cover?
No, this has been remarkably helpful. I don't know how long the show is. Is it?
I wing it.
You wing it. Okay, perfect. So one question I had, I know that when you launched your book, you got to bestseller status on Amazon.
Yeah.
And all of that. How important is that?
It was very important to me, especially for one category. I really wanted the online marketing one.
Okay.
Amazon will put you into all kinds of categories, and you can, appeal it and have them move you. Because I mean, they put me into some weird categories, and I'm like, I didn't ask to be put in that. When you were filling out the thing and you like give them the path
Mhm.
of where you think you should place, like sometimes they listen and sometimes they don't. In mine, they did not, and they put me like in some very weird categories. So on launch day, I had them move me to online marketing or online advertising because I want that category, and I knew how competitive it was. It's like insanely competitive for that category. I mean, they're marketers that are promoting their book, and they all want to hit bestseller too, right?
Mhm.
So it's very competitive, but uh, I felt that it was important. I want to be able to say bestseller. Once it's done, you stop promoting and you fall quickly because there's all the new people that are promoting their stuff. But
Right.
personally, I thought it was very, very important, and it's definitely something to strive for. So you want to have a launch day to get a flood of sales on that specific day. So it's not like a prolonged, drawn out thing. It's
Mhm.
concentrated to a day, and
Okay.
specifically like a couple of hours, because they do update hourly. So if you focused on like 1 hour, although that's kind of hard to orchestrate, but you put the bulk of it into that, then you can move up really quickly within that day.
Okay. And does that have to be on your release day, or could it be a couple days later?
It can be like forever later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like you've been up there for a little while, but you can have a launch day and go take your title. So the one thing, you want to see what category you're in. You want to make
Mhm.
sure that you're in that category. So when you want to make sure that if people see that screenshot of that category, they go, yeah, that makes sense, you should be there. So like,
Gotcha.
I wouldn't want to like take it for cookware or like whatever and be like, yeah, I'm number one in there. It's like, yeah, but your book's not about that. So when
Right.
I show a screenshot of mine was bestseller in online advertising, that's very credible because it's like that's what I'm talking about. So you want to make sure that that lines up.
Mhm.
And then you want to get your screenshot for that, but you want to also pick a category that's not as competitive. So that's a longer conversation, but I was in a group that was all about the strategy behind hitting it, making sure that you hit a relevant category, but also one that you can achieve.
Okay.
And for the online advertising, I didn't care. I knew that was the hardest of all the categories I was looking at, but that's the one that I appealed to have them move me into. And that took about 12 hours of intense promotion all day. I had no calls, did nothing but promote
Wow.
on that category. So it was a hard fought one, but it was rewarding to hit it.
That's excellent.
So the one thing that you want to do is see what categories you're in now,
Mhm.
who's number one in that category, and where do they rank overall. So you can do that by going to your page, going down to the bottom. It'll show you 3 categories that you're in. It'll show you what rank you're in those categories. Then you click that category. Somebody's going to be number one. Click that book and then see where they rank overall.
Okay.
Okay, so if they rank, in the top 100, or even top 1,000, it's going to be really tough to get number one in that category, because it means they've got, tons and tons of sales. Amazon has millions of books. So if you're in the top 1,000 overall across all categories, like competing with celebrities and people who have, millions and millions of followers,
Mhm.
it's going to be hard to break into that.
Okay. And then is it true that the bestseller algorithms for Amazon are really limited to to results over the past couple of days? Like there's not a lot of lead time in. Is that correct?
It changes. It updates based hourly,
Okay.
based on hourly sales. So that's why you want to concentrate your sales to one day and just get a flood of sales.
Okay.
And some categories you can get into, although, none of the marketing ones, but some of the categories you can get bestseller with like 20 books sold.
Oh, okay.
Not in the online marketing because, they're marketers that are promoting their books. And some of them promoted them like, Gary Vaynerchuk is going to promote his book with, a hefty marketing budget and an affiliate team and, all this stuff. So
right.
Russell Brunson had affiliates that were paying to run traffic to his book. So they were spending money on ads. And so they were in a competition to win big cash prizes and all this stuff because he wanted, he recognized the brand value of, being in front of a whole new audience. And so there was like hundreds of people that were spending their own money to promote his book to win a contest. So that's a whole other thing. But
well, that's good work if you can get it, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's the kind of stuff you compete against though, when you're doing it. So you just kind of want to find your lane and find where you're at and attack it that way. So that's the biggest advice I can give to you is find out, who's number one in the categories that you're in. Make sure you want to be in those categories and then see where they rank overall.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Jared. This has been so helpful.
Yeah, you're welcome. And so the next piece of the strategy for you would definitely be like continuing the conversation. And, we're going to do that. So again, link is in the show notes for that. I don't know when that will come out, but I think I'll move this episode forward to make sure that when you're listening to it, you can still register for that. It'll help you on your book promotion. So links to Amy's book will be in the show notes as well, since that's available already. And then ways to connect with you. So again, if you're driving, don't worry about it. Just scroll down in the show notes. You can buy the book, connect, register for the workshop, all that fun stuff.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jared.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you for listening to the Get Found Radio podcast. If you like the show, please hit subscribe to listen to some amazing upcoming episodes. We would also love if you left us an honest rating and review.